Accidental. Xiao Zhan spills the truth about Jungkook and Taehyung being together. Fans in absolute shock. No script. No PR filter. No warning. 1 minute. The world's most beloved Chinese actor Xiao Zhan was sipping tea on a live broadcast, answering playful questions about friendship in the entertainment industry. The next minute, he had dropped a sentence that would shake two of the largest fandoms on the planet and send fan communities into chaos. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't planned. But once those words left his lips, there was no taking them back. The live stream that broke the internet. The event was meant to be lighthearted, a special cross-cultural conversation between Xiao Zhan and BTS, filmed in a split-location format. Xiao Zhan was in Shanghai. BTS members were streaming in from Seoul, London, and Los Angeles, depending on their schedules. The energy was warm. Jimin teased Xiao Zhan about his perfect hair, Jean praised his acting skills, and RM commended him for bridging cultural gaps. Fans in the chat were sending hearts and fire emojis at record speed. And then a comment appeared. Fan question. Xiao Zhan, which BTS members do you think are the closest behind the scenes? The actor smiled easily, not realizing the weight of what he was about to say. Xiao Zhan. Oh, that's simple. Jungkook and Taehyung. Those two are always together. More than anyone else. I've seen it myself. The frozen smiles. It was subtle, but the shift in energy was undeniable. Jimin's eyebrows flickered upward before he forced a chuckle. Jin's lips pressed into a thin smile. RM, ever the leader, jumped in quickly with a comment about how all the members are close like brothers, but the damage was already done. On one of the remote screens, Jungkook glanced sideways, his jaw tightening just slightly. Taehyung? He just smirked faintly and leaned back, eyes locked on the camera, as if daring anyone to read too much into it. The chat feed exploded instantly. Wait, what did he just say? Together? Like, together? OMG, Xiao Zhan spilled. Xiao Zhan's face says it all. The actor clearly realized he had just thrown a live grenade into one of the most speculated friendships in K-pop history. He laughed nervously, quickly adding, I just mean they're close friends. You know, always supporting each other. But it was too late. His tone was off, not playful, not teasing, but knowing. A history of Taekook moments. For years, armies have tracked interactions between Jungkook and Taehyung, documenting every shared smile, hand brush, and whispered conversation. 2016 Bon Voyage hug, Taehyung back hugging Jungkook under the night sky. 2019 award show table, cameras catching them holding hands under the table. 2022 airport clip, both arriving in identical hoodies, walking side by side with no staff nearby. Xiao Zhan's comment didn't start the fire. It poured gasoline on an already roaring flame. Behind the scenes, the party. An anonymous source close to the industry revealed that Xiao Zhan's confidence in his statement came from an event earlier this year, a private after-party following a major Asian awards ceremony. According to this insider, everyone was networking, chatting in groups. But Jungkook and Taehyung were in their own bubble. They sat in the corner for hours, talking quietly. At one point, Taehyung fixed Jungkook's collar, and Jungkook just smiled at him in this soft way. Xiao Zhan noticed. A lot of people did. The hotel rumor. Just days after the live stream, a fan account from Japan claimed to have spotted Jungkook entering Taehyung's hotel room late at night during a promotional trip. The account described seeing him with a small paper bag and a coffee cup. He went in around midnight, the fan wrote. I stayed in the hall for a while. He didn't come back out until morning. Fandom meltdown. By the next morning, Twitter, Weibo, TikTok, and Instagram were saturated with a clip of Xiao Zhan's comment. Trending tags included hashtag Xiao Zhan spilled, hashtag Taekook confirmed, hashtag protect Taekook. Fan edits began flooding in, slow-motion compilations of Taehyung and Jungkook's most intimate moments set to romantic ballads. Big Hit's silence. Perhaps the most telling part? Big Hit music's complete lack of response. No statements. No clarifications. No denials. For a company notorious for swiftly shutting down dating rumors, their silence was deafening, and fans noticed. Private group chat revealed. An alleged leak from BTS's private group chat showed the members' reactions. Jimin. Hyung. Why didn't you just say Namjoon and Yoongi? Taehyung. It's fine. Jungkook. They'll talk. Let them. The kicker? Taehyung followed his message with a single red heart emoji, directed at Jungkook. The dinner photo. 3 days later, blurry paparazzi photos surfaced online, allegedly showing Xiao Zhan dining with Jungkook and Taehyung in Seoul. The trio sat in a private booth, Xiao Zhan telling a story while Jungkook rested his hand casually on the back of Taehyung's chair. On stage teasing. At BTS's next concert, fans caught a moment during the encore when Taehyung leaned into Jungkook and whispered something that made him grin. Lip readers online swore he said, "Don't hide anymore." Xiao Zhan speaks again. On a Chinese variety show a week later, Xiao Zhan was asked, point blank, about his BTS comment. With a calm smile, he replied, "Some bonds don't need explaining. They exist whether people see them or not." It wasn't a denial. If anything, it felt like quiet confirmation. The Late Night Live. A month after the incident, Taehyung went live on Instagram at 1:17 a.m. Soft music played in the background. He chatted casually with fans for a few minutes before the camera shifted, revealing Jungkook sitting beside him. Jungkook looked at the camera, smirked, and said, "Guess we're still together." The live ended seconds later. The legacy of a slip. What Xiao Zhan said may have been spontaneous, but its impact was seismic. In fan communities, it has become one of the most analyzed, replayed, and discussed moments in K-pop crossover history. To some, it was confirmation of what they've always believed. To others, it was nothing more than a comment blown out of proportion. But the truth, the real truth, remains locked between 3 people: Jungkook, Taehyung, and Xiao Zhan. And judging by their reactions, they're in no rush to clear anything up. The confession that wouldn't end. The studio still buzzed with the remnants of Xiao Zhan's slip. Every camera light seemed hotter, every microphone louder, as if the whole room leaned in for more. The host's voice cracked with both panic and thrill. "Xiao Zhan, are you sure you want to go there?" But Xiao Zhan wasn't answering. He was looking straight ahead, his hands clasped so tightly that his knuckles turned pale. The pressure in the air could have shattered glass. Jungkook and Taehyung sat only a few feet away, but the way they avoided each other's eyes spoke louder than any official confirmation. The silence was unbearable. One of the producers, off camera, made a frantic hand gesture to cut to commercial, but the director shook his head. This was too big to interrupt. Then Xiao Zhan leaned into the microphone. "It wasn't supposed to be public," he said, his voice low and shaking. "But it's real. They've been together. For a while." It was like tossing a match into a gasoline-filled room. The audience gasped audibly. Jungkook's hand twitched toward Taehyung before he quickly pulled it back, as though realizing every camera in Asia was pointed their way. The host's voice rose an octave. "You mean together? Xiao Zhan nodded once, sharply. "Yes." A backstage storm. Within seconds, the set exploded into chaos. Assistants rushed forward, trying to shield Jungkook and Taehyung from the blinding flashes of camera phones. Xiao Zhan was hurried off stage, but not before he caught a glimpse of Taehyung's eyes, wide, hurt, and brimming with something between fear and relief. In the backstage hallway, Xiao Zhan's manager cornered him. "Do you realize what you've done?" "I couldn't lie anymore," Xiao Zhan shot back. "They're hiding in plain sight, pretending, and it's eating them alive." From the other side of the thin wall, muffled voices could be heard. Jungkook's deep, controlled tone clashing with Taehyung's higher, urgent one. "You promised," Taehyung said sharply. "You promised we'd handle this on our own." "And we will," Jungkook replied. "But maybe it's time people know. I'm tired of pretending you're just my friend." The green room confrontation. The 3 of them ended up in the same cramped green room minutes later. Xiao Zhan stood by the door, shoulders tense, while Jungkook paced like a caged animal. Taehyung sat in the corner, his hands clasped in his lap, eyes fixed on the floor. "You didn't have the right to say that," Taehyung finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. And you don't have the right to destroy yourself for the sake of an image, Xiao Zhan countered. His voice was calm now, but his eyes were sharp. You're both living a lie every day. Do you think that doesn't show? Do you think the people who love you can't see it? Jungkook stopped pacing. We're not ready, he said, his voice breaking slightly. You think it's simple? This could destroy everything. Taehyung finally looked up, and for the first time, the fire in his gaze matched Xiao Zhan's. Or it could set us free, he said softly. Flashback. The moment Xiao Zhan found out. 6 months earlier, Xiao Zhan had been at an after-party in Seoul, a private gathering of friends and colleagues. Most of the guests were sprawled on couches or laughing around the bar. But Xiao Zhan noticed Jungkook slipping quietly out to the balcony. Moments later, Taehyung followed. From the shadowed doorway, Xiao Zhan saw them. The cold night air turned their breath into pale clouds, and they stood close. Too close for just friends. Jungkook reached out, tucking a loose strand of hair behind Taehyung's ear. Taehyung smiled in that quiet, unguarded way that didn't belong to his public persona. Then Jungkook leaned in, and their foreheads touched. It wasn't the kiss that made Xiao Zhan certain. It was the way they looked at each other afterward, as though the rest of the world had fallen away. Present tension. Now, in the green room, that same look flickered between them. Xiao Zhan saw it again, and it hit him like a punch. You love each other, he said simply. And no matter what happens after today, that's already the truth. I just made sure the world heard it. The door burst open. The show's producers stood there, flushed and panicked. We need to address this now. The internet is melting down. Hashtags are trending in 15 countries. We either confirm or deny immediately. All eyes turned to Jungkook and Taehyung. For a long moment, neither moved. Then Jungkook took a step forward, his hand hesitating before it finally found Taehyung's. It was a small gesture, but in the flashing camera lights just outside the doorway, it might as well have been a declaration.